Peng Peng. A reality I deal with, don't it? I look at the Nyuma. Me up on the cheering ends now. Saddam Hussein ya Bawali, Wana Al Jazeera, Kugamanchari yosinda vayo. Oshitegera. Anyway, no, stress free nga bulijjo. Just okubanda ngokwenda kwebaza abakusibangabira ku kutupenga temuvaako okugeza. The whole of Uganda, England, Russia, German, Sweden, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, the whole of thing there. See me? Individually, njala kubamenya ababira ku mukutu okugeza Kakenza, Bachali bange ba Jackson, MC Mozi, BJOJ, Timo, J Hasu, abayimbi bange Fiona Mukasa, Kideo bikoze bitya, the whole of thing there. Abungereza yongera okumenya Uganda lira bangi nnyo nga mukutu pe kulika abantu bangi nnyo bwena bachali bange eyo ne London bwenna tibisiba bachali naye nga I saw the thing set already door right now meeting a shut no everywhere radio station media newspapers all over Uganda the country see me say what me say tanika no mulamwa stress free you see that stress free kati ndata ngina bavuga kusimba pida nga just sibaweza anyway no nina omulamu ogutambula waliwo Munamawulile gwe bayita Klaus ono agenze nantuukire nangamba amplified abanasira bangambye gwe muna Uganda atangaza ate nga totya kuba gwe weekozesa ne mugamba yaman a reality attack nagamba okikakasa musajja gwe totya ne mugamba yamaana atuya attack gwe mbulira kyekikuluma nagamba amplified abanasira bangambye so the thing go ate nga gwe weekozesa oli Munamawulile atatya negamba ye ndi Munamawulile nga gwe ne mugamba mbulira ekizibu kyo nagamba lumu nafuna omukisa negendako mu nsi yammwe Uganda nengenda okukyaliako mu kampu y'omuyimbi angambye sigenda kwogera muyimbi ono bamuyita batya erinnya ne mugenda mumanya mu maaso eyo Munamawulile eno bambi we yajja okukyaliako ensi yaffe mu Uganda bambi yakyaliako miziki omu alina gundi ekubaraga ekubarapu gamba mugimanye era nangamba prefaida abanasa iso the thing kam ne mugamba wanje nangamba wenakyaliako omusajja ono yansiba mukuba nze mu kampu ne nansiba ng'omuntu wa bulijjo naye erabira nti nali Munamawulile ky'Omunnamawulile yajagano kyatuza abantu ne nansiba naye omuziki ono nze badde esazeewo bannange mwabye naye bwe mwabiza mu nsi yange mwabiza ali ambala enjala mwabize ku mukutu penge ne mugamba ya Munamawulile ono munnaye mumpe ngenda kanku exposure mwabize ku mukutu gwange wadde kiri kino sibe ebintu bebale njagala okwenyigiramu naye ate angambye munaba naye Uganda bangi beetaaga okumanya kati guno omukutu gwo ate gwawambye nnyo penge ne mugamba yamaana atuuya ata katukoze tutya nangamba bale nsamba mpisizemu video yange eno era nga video y'omusajja eno ngenda giyisaamu nga yatambudde etya video y'omusajja eno alina musician gwe yayogerako bannange yamusibisa ate nga musajja ono abadde atambuza mirimu gy'Abamerika kati badde njagala musooke muwulize omusajja ono ngenda mulabe ne video y'Omunnamawulile eyo eyamusibisa gombulye ddala miziki ono kyakola kituufu oba si kituufu ye miziki ono ddala wajje tugenda. So anyway, Mr. Klaus, talk to the youth them. Klaus,
President Museveni has been in power for the last 27 years, and over the course of the last few elections, there have been multiple opposition parties that have tried to contest. They have failed in contesting, not because of lack of popularity, but there have been gross violations in the elections and a lot of intimidation, and I really didn't know what was happening, though I have been in and out of the country over many years as I've worked in the region for the last 9 years. And on this trip, I was scouting around for different stories and had been filming this trial where Kizza Besigye had been standing trial for incitement to violence charges. He was acquitted of those charges that morning, as was everybody else in his party, but this is part of a process of intimidation that the government has been doing for all of the opposition leaders and members of the opposition, arresting them, putting them in prison, putting them through trials. And while the trials actually seem to result in their acquittal, the Ugandan police seem to be taking liberties to violations, clamping down on freedom of the press, clamping down on freedom of speech, clamping down on freedom of assembly, and even taking liberties to imprison people without any charges, just as I was. So after the trial, I followed downtown, and there were hundreds of people waving at this car of Gwebassibila. And you could see in this photograph that he's just parked on the side of the road. And as he was parked on the side of the road, hundreds more people started gathering and cheering for him, and the cops decided they would ultimately try to get him out of there and tow his car. And in the middle of the towing process, they towed his front bumper off, and the crowd went wild. And you know, by the time this happened, and about 1,000 plus people started gathering, and the cops eventually started shooting tear gas into the crowds and beating the people down. And that was the first time that I really witnessed the Ugandan police doing what I had been reading about, which was attacking a peaceful group of people. At the same time that I was being imprisoned, Ash Carter, who's the Deputy Defense Secretary, who is the highest official from the Department of Defense, the U.S. Department of Defense, ever to visit Uganda, was in Uganda speaking with high-level military officials. He was congratulating them on their anti-terrorism work, which is to say that we are spending, American taxpayers are spending so much money. I'm not going to quote the number because I don't even know the number, but I know we're spending huge amounts of money on Ugandan military in Somalia, whether it's defense against Al-Shabaab in Somalia and actions in DRC and Southern Sudan. We have a very cozy relationship with the Ugandan military right now. And perhaps that's why my imprisonment as an American journalist, and of course, as I mentioned, I was the only American journalist, and perhaps I was singled out as a result of that they didn't want the world to see what was happening. My imprisonment was low on the radar. In fact, U.S. Senator Chris Coons made an amazing statement while I was in prison, and I was very thankful for that upon hearing about it. He made a statement basically suggesting that we need to pay attention to how Ugandan government is basically eroding all of these freedoms. And at the same time, in the same statement, he's also praising the Ugandan military for their anti-terrorism actions. So I think we need to pay attention to what we're doing, both supporting the Ugandan military while at the same time witnessing an erosion of certain freedoms that we care about.
Some rap myself now. Atemakat karara, tara lukadigara, garo antambiko, tambiko ampakasio, akasuna kaba jesi, wajesi wamuro, rona hawa koko, kaya miuri, na lezavana, abana bampenje yo na kama yampakasa, kasana kishiru kazi azarumana, na mutamugarra, yagarebi ushilishewu. Today, these young people talked to me about this rap because I was not following what they were saying. You want another rap? You want another rap? You want another rap? You want another rap? Penkoni, 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 penkoni ngarama zizire, zizire ni chundeni, ibyo byatendegere. Tendegere nkube mutere heguru mparia hariho gwitiri ubwitiro bw'enkora enkoresho metekere akara kembogo akare kembo karagan sharra munda yengoma. You want another rap? You want another rap? You want another rap? You want another rap? That's wonderful. Now I know what you have been up to.